But without further ado, my name is Taylor Faulkner, and I am hosting this webinar with my colleague Dale Janis and our friends here at Ziplines Education. Dale and I serve as program directors for UNC Charlotte School of Professional Studies, and I oversee our HR program, so our HR certificate, our L&D certificate, and our HR exam prep program. But today we're excited to have you with us because one of the most significant shifts that's really reshaping every industry, and HR is no different, is artificial intelligence. And so today's session is kind of about what that shift means specifically for HR folks. And so just to kind of set the tone here, I mean, the reality is, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, if you will, but HR is under pressure. So the operational demands haven't slowed down. Compliance requirements just continue to evolve. And so leadership expects HR to demonstrate that business impact with clear data and measurable outcomes. At the same time, we have AI that's just rapidly transforming how work is getting done across every function. And so HR folks are finding themselves in this unique position. So you're being asked to guide the ethics of AI across the use of your organization, but also kind of determine how you might leverage it for your own function. And so that tension is pretty real. But with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen just to let our star of the show start sharing his screen. And so I'm pleased to introduce Vic today. He's a senior product portfolio lead, and Vic is a successful board advisor. He's an AI strategist and an innovator who leads AI transformation and people analytics at Cloudflare, Fortune 500, where he designs and delivers AI strategy that directly impacts over 5,000 employees across the organization. So, with over 15 years of experience spanning enterprise HR, analytics, and digital transformation, Vic has worked as a Big Four consultant at Accenture, advising global organizations on modernizing HR systems and scaling change in practical ways. And Vic, your bio makes me want to redo mine and get it together. So y'all grab your lunch. I know this is probably during your lunch break, so feel free to engage with us. Get your lunch in and learn a little bit about how AI is impacting the HR world. Vic is really bringing that same practical mindset to teaching and building. It's not just focused on the hype, folks, but really on what actually works. So, with that, Vic, I'll hand it over to you to lead our discussion today.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Taylor. And thank you all who has said, you know what, I'm going to take some time and learn and find out more of what the industry is doing in regards to AI. I think the fact that you're here tells me a lot about you already. And I think I know that if you are here, you are amongst the people who are thinking ahead, are thinking forward, because the world is changing and it's changing fast. And those who are able to, get in the driver's seat and instead of letting the bus pass them will go far. Let's again, Vic Casale. I lead AI transformation both internally at Cloudflare for the people team and even externally for a few folks who I work with. And today, there's a few things I just wanted to cover. One is really the urgency, like why the world has already shifted. The transition that's happening now from even just last year to this year. Talk about what's possible with AI. I even have an example here that I've been building for a few folks as a proof of concept to just what you can do with AI as well. And then how it actually works. Sometimes I just kind of like to dive in deeper to just kind of say, hey, like this is not magic. This is what it's actually doing so that folks, can understand the background of that. And then just next steps and where I would just want to challenge you all to take your learning, however that evolves, to the next step. Because in a time where things are changing, those who can learn the fastest, who have that learning agility, those are who goes far. Okay. So if there are questions, like the team here will let me know. Like there'll be a time for questions at the end. But happy to pause and like look at the question and like the chat list like as well. And in fact, let me see, just so because I think the chat's open, right, team? For folks, yes, thumbs up. Okay, so just by putting things in the chat so that I know that what you all have done. Share with me what AI tools you have used, either personally or within the HR space, because that's what I'd love to see here. Okay, so let's just put that in and let's see what comes in. All right, we got Sam saying, okay, Chat GPT, Carrie, power user here, Claude, Gamma, chatbots on our website. Dale, okay, I see you, Dale. Chat GPT, Notebook LM, very cool. Lots of Chat GPT, Copilot, okay, very cool. Lots of Claude as well. Canva AI, our designer friends, like amongst us, very, very cool. So I think this is amazing because I just want to let you know just how quickly things have changed. So AI as a product to most people has only been available for less than 3 years. In fact, in enterprise is even less than that, right? Yet it has become so integral to our workflow and how we do work, which is, I think, in my mind, the most transformational thing in how we do work, since the cloud, and in my mind, it's bigger than the cloud, right? But first, like you could only do work on like a server in office building. That changed how work happened. This is one of those changes, okay? And I want to just compare what 2025 was like compared to the conversations I've been having with chief HR officers, IT leaders, CIO, CEOs about what feels different about AI, especially when it comes to the people function and HR function. And it really comes down to one thing, and I put it here: 2025 was the year of try. Let's try a whole bunch of stuff, right? Try it out, see if it works. Is it working? That's not what 2026 is about. Okay. 2026 is the year of apply. 2025, the year of try. 2026, the year of apply. What does that mean? Okay. What that means is that there will be more and more requirements and expectation that you just not try to use AI, but you talk about ways to apply it in not just your personal productivity, which I think that's where I see a lot of people tend to use it, like Chat GPT, Gemini, personal productivity, but starting to think of ways for it to completely transform the entire uh, function, the entire work stream, the entire process. Okay, so what my challenge to you today is, some folks have been trying out a lot. A few of us have been applying. I want this group, and I know this group is a part of that group because you're here to be in that apply group, the group of people that go beyond just experimentation, but actually rethinking and re strategizing of how work gets done. All right, sounds cool. All right, let's dive in. Okay, so I want to give you, I think, kind of three ways that I think are across the board that I see AI being applied in enterprise. And a lot of you are coming from that space, so you are seeing this too. Some of them are obvious, some of them are hard, some of them are really cool. I'll share an example of one that I think is cool because I'm making it here with like a few of us, but would love to get folks' thoughts too. So let me jump to the slide here so that we're all on the same page. Okay, so here are three ways that I've seen folks already using AI. One is a AI knowledge assistant. Okay, so let me get a Y in the chat if you are already, using some form of this, and a Y for yes, right? So what this looks like, okay, let me jump to this. This is something that can answer questions for employees instantly. It's trained on your documentation. It frees up the HR team for more strategic work. Okay, so I see a few people, Sager, Dale, cool, that are already experiencing what this looks like in their everyday work. Now, why is this important? And I think that a lot of us already know. So when I work with teams, I ask them about, hey, what is the repetitive work that you're doing that is blocking you from doing the strategic and people centered work that a lot of people that I know got into HR for. Like you may have got into HR to really connect, to problem solve, to be the people strategic problem solver, the workforce planner, but there's just all this stuff that has to get done before you can get to the good stuff. I know, I've been there. And on average, on the low side, or I would say on the medium side, this is taking some people between 5 to 10 hours of their week. But when I talk about like high growth companies, this is taking 20 hours a week of their time, right? Imagine if you can get 20 hours back. That's half of your work week back, or reduce it drastically so that you don't have to answer those, repetitive questions that come up often. Now, these are things that seem hard to build, but I guarantee you, you just haven't been taught how to build them. The knowledge is out there, and this is what will be the expectation going forward, that you either A, have context of how these tools work, B, you can build it or at least build a prototype like of it, or C, you know how to manage them going forward from a strategic standpoint. If you're not thinking this way, again, don't say it to scare you. I'm saying it to empower you that this is how you want to be thinking, right? AI is not going away. Those people who thought the internet was just a fad, here we are today, right? It is not going away. Already in less than 3 years, it has been an integral part in how many of you work. Now it's okay, now can you use it to think about how you transform work here today? Okay. So this is one way, and this is one that I think a lot of folks are familiar with. The next space is a place where typically there is a lot of time spent. Now, this is onboarding. So curious if anybody has been in, who is in HR or is a part of HR or maybe aspire to HR, can agree with me that sometimes onboarding takes loads of time. If you agree, let me see like another why in the chat, because I know when I was a HR specialist, okay, well, lots of whys. Okay, whys. I think I hit a nerve. I see a why with exclamation marks. That's how I know it's a problem here. Okay, yes, great. So I'm talking to my people here. Okay, um, Friday, 3 p.m. A manager comes, from like the business and says, "Hey, this person just signed an offer letter. Can we get them to start Monday?" And you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't know what you just asked, right? There is so many things that has to happen. Okay. They need to get the offer letter, the welcome packet, the manager needs to be notified. IT needs to be like, all these things need to happen just when you hire somebody. It's not just they sign an offer letter and Bob's your uncle, right? And on average, so this is what I've the surveys that I've done, on average, it takes about 6 hours per person. All right. That is the average. Okay. That means there's a whole bunch of people above that. And especially those folks who are above that, who work in highly complex organizations where there's lots of people and hands like involved, right? This can take even longer. What's not here is a background check. Sometimes there's a background check, like involved, right? That it spends the time even more. But this is where I think a lot of people and HR folks can start to be strategic in saying, okay, well, let me understand the workflow. Let me map out the workflow. And let me start to use AI to start to automate this workflow. Again, a lot of us got into HR because we love people, we love connecting, we love problem solving, but we get bogged down by the 6 hour per new hire that happens here, right? But and this is really a subset of AI. Automation or a tangent portion of AI. Automation or AI automation allows us to look at our manual processes and say, wow, what can we do to automate it? So if somebody signs that offer letter in the HRIS, well, it triggers a whole bunch of things. You don't have to send that welcome email. It gets sent to them automatically. That's amazing. The manager and IT get notified in real time. That's amazing. Check-ins are scheduled, right? Things are logged automatically. So plug for just work that we've been doing. I think this is the module that I know that I love the most. So I decided to raise my hand to do it because this is the module that completely transforms, in my word, people's lives because they say, "Whoa, look how much time like I have." So um, this is just a huge passion like of mine. And then there's the area of people insights, analytics. That's where my background is. I have a background in people analytics. And one of the things that's already been here is how do we have a more data driven approach to the work that we do? How do we do that? And in HR, it's no longer, I would say like allowed, but you can't just work off of assumptions. You need to know the numbers. You need to know the numbers better than the business person who you're talking to, working across from you. So in that, let me see if I can pull an example up here for us to kind of look at. So there are ways that we can use AI to help us code and develop tools to get the data when we need it. So here is an example. Let me go to here. Let me share. I'm gonna share this screen here. So hot off like the presses. So had a client who was saying, "Hey, we have all this data and we have dashboards and we have reports, but we would really like to just be able to say, what's the answer to this question, right? Like, what's our current head count, right? So what this does, there's some data in the background that it's connected to. It goes, applies some filters, analyzes that data, and it gives you what that number is. Okay, just like that. Okay, great. But here's like a common question, like, okay, can you tell me all the people who joined in the last 3 months? Okay, this is something that I built with AI. I am not a software developer. I'm an HR professional, 15 plus years of HR, but I'm able to code something like this. And so can you, because I can do it. Trust me, you can do way better to say, okay, let me, build something that can start to at least show a proof of concept. Now we're taking this proof of concept to actually deploying this within the organization. This is the power that AI gives you. This is how, in my understanding of how the world will continue to work, those who understand how to do things like this will get there. So, how many people thought like that was cool? Because I mean, I thought it was cool. But let me get some whys in the chat if this was something that you thought was cool, or if this is how you're seeing AI change things and transform things. Okay. I'm a couple of whys here. Great. Okay, so let's see here. So one of the things that I have understood from a lot of people is that they see AI doing what it's doing, but they don't quite understand how it's doing what it's doing. That doesn't make them feel a little comfortable, right? And I get that. As an HR professional, like I don't want something that's a black box and I don't know how it works. So we're going to play like a little game. Okay. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to show you a pattern on the screen and I want you to type in the answer. Don't hit enter. Don't hit enter. I'm going to count to three and we're going to hit enter at the same time. Okay, it's a really, really hard, question here, but I think this is a smart room, and I think that we can all do it. Let's try to demystify what AI is doing here. So, here's the question: what's the next number in the sequence? Okay, type it in. Don't hit enter. 2, 4, 6, 8, blank. Okay, let's get our answers locked in. Let's get our answers locked in and enter, go. Let's all hit enter. 10. Whoa. Okay, the chat's just exploded there. Okay. 10. Wow. Okay. Congratulations. You are at least smart as AI. Okay. Now, what happened there, right? What were you able to do? And I would like some folks to just put in the chat here. I will read it out. There's no wrong answer. How did you know the number was 10? Okay. Pattern recognition. I noticed the pattern. Yes. Identifying like a pattern. Absolutely. I could detect a pattern. Brilliant. That is what AI is doing. Okay. AI is a pattern recognition tool. Even better, what it's doing specifically for language is predicting the same way that you predicted the next number, it's just predicting the next likeliest word. Okay. How many people have, an iPhone or, like an Android, and you're typing like a message and it brings up the next word? That's AI. You may not realize it, but that came out way before ChatGPT and all these other things, right? It's predicting the next word. It's just doing that with a really, really, really big prediction engine and the context that you give it. Okay. So I'm going to show you one more thing that helps to solidify it. And to do that, I have to take a few people to a dark place, high school algebra. Okay. Let's make sure that nobody leaves like the chat here. Okay, great. Okay. All right. So how many people remember this equation, y equals mx plus b? Let's get some y's in the chat if you remember this equation from algebra. Okay. All right. Okay. Taylor's like, it's taking me back. Okay. All right. Yes, exactly. Y equals mx plus b. Now, the reason why I like this equation, and you have to go back to your algebra teacher who said, one day this will matter in the world. And you're like, no, never. Right. Today is that day. So if you have their text message or their email, say, hey, thanks. Like you were right. So what is AI doing? As I shared with you, it's pattern recognition. Okay. So your Y is the output. That's what you get back from a chat, a GPT, a Gemini, a Claude. That's the output. That's the magic, right? But how is it doing the magic? Okay. Well, first of all, let's jump to the M. It has a model. That's what Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini, that's what those things are. It's a model that has been trained not just on 2468, it's been trained on trillions of patterns, especially when it comes to language, right? So if you gave it a line that says, life, liberty, and the pursuit of blank, right? We know that, if you're on, in the United States, that's life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice. Okay. It's seen that pattern because it has that already baked into the model. Okay. Now, there's there's two things that you have control over about how the output is given. Okay. There's two more letters here. You have control. You don't control like the model. That's what they spent billions and billions of dollars to build. But you can do two things. You can control the input and you can control the context. Okay. So what is your input? Well, your input is your prompt, right? That's, hey, ChatGPT, I need a job description for a software developer. Great. It's going to its model, taking your input and saying, hey, what's the most likeliest prediction of what a software developer job description looks like? Well, I know what job descriptions look like. I've probably been trained on software like developer, job descriptions. I can predict what this looks like. Okay. So that's one thing. Now, the additional thing is where the magic happens. This is where your AI assistant bots come in. This is the context. This is your documentation, any additional things. This is your attachments that sometimes you attach to it. That's the context because the model is like this, right? It can come up with anything in the world. But when you give it some context with your input, give that to the model, all of a sudden it starts to look a little better. It starts to work a little better. You start to say, this is more in line with what I want. This is more in line with that output. Okay. This is it. There is no other way AI works. If you know 2468 and you know y equals mx plus b, you know how AI works 100%. Okay. So that's just like a little bit of background. I just like to leave folks like with it. So where does HR stand in a world that's going to be driven a lot by AI? Okay. And that's what a lot of people are talking about. They're like, well, AI can do so many things. Like, what's the future of HR? And let me tell you, as somebody who talks to executives and things like that, there is a big difference between what AI can do versus what AI should do. Okay. What AI can do, possibly a lot of things. What AI should do, well, that is where your judgment is needed. That is where your expertise is needed. AR tools are always expensive. There will always be new tools. There will always be technology. There will always be a way to try to figure out how to do things, right? But should it do it? Should AI have an employee, an ER conversation with an employee that's a sensitive topic because perhaps they're having challenges with their manager? Probably shouldn't do that, right? And we inherently know that, and that's where our judgment comes in. So we can allow AI to tackle the more rote, repetitive, like items, and we can focus on the things that really impact people on an emotional level, on a human level. And the more and more that I work with people on AI, the more I'm so surprised that honestly, HR is actually in the best position ever because the more human interactions, the more human connections are going to become so prized, they're going to become so important that there will be no so not no, there will be a greater level of importance put on those skills. Okay. So that's what I would like to leave you here today, that, AI is a tool. Okay. You are the expert, here. So let me see here. Let me just check on my slides, make sure I'm good. Okay. There's one more thing that I want to give you just because I get this question a lot, whereas, okay, well, I need a way to think through what are the things that are good opportunities for AI to do, AI to handle. How do I discover them? I'm going to give you this four-part framework so that you, right now, today, can go to your place of work, can go to the things that you're doing, and use this as a way to assess here. So, first question: is this something that's highly repeated? Does it happen often? Right? Is, for example, onboarding. That happens all the time, right? Questions that folks have to ask. That happens all the time. So think about what happens repetitively here. That's the first question. Two, volume. Volume, okay. Does the thing that happens happen in volume? Is there a lot of things or a lot of queries, questions? Does it happen often, right? Not just isn't repetitive, is the volume of the things that happen high as well. Three is if it's data heavy. And I would add to three to say not only is it the data heavy, it is quality heavy, as in we need to make sure that the information that's captured is accurate. It's error free, right? AI is really, really good at copying and pasting, right? So I would, and then lastly, here is judgment light. The outcome is predictable. The human discretion required is a bit minimal. It's a bit if then, right? So this is what I will leave you with. I will leave this up on screen. Feel free to screenshot it and take it like away. I will put this back on the screen, but I do want to make sure that I reiterate something that I just said earlier because I think it's that important. Okay, the world is changing fast. Okay, but the fact that you are here already says a lot. Okay, tools have come and go. AI is the tool, but you, as the HR professional, are the expert. So, what I want to charge you with, encourage you with, it's that let's make sure you just don't understand AI, you just don't try it, but you are one of the very few that are applying it in your workplace to transform how things work. Okay. So with that, I will pause here. I will pass it along and we can see if there are any questions that folks have. But hopefully there was some value that you got here today. And I'm sure the folks will talk more about the program after our Q&A. But let's jump into the Q&A because this is my favorite part. So there we go.
Question for you. I would love to know what you think maybe one of the biggest challenges a person like me, who's just a person in HR, could foresee in launching this to a boss, to a supervisor. What's a challenge you might see there, and how maybe could I overcome that?
Mm, yeah, I think the challenge is not unique to AI. The challenge is unique to anything new, right? Anything new, there is a tendency to be reserved, be cautious, because the reality is things are kind of working now. Why we want to screw that up, Damn, like we got a good thing going, right? Why do you want to screw it up? So the best thing is to one, educate yourself, right, on like how these things work. Two, look for examples of it working already, right? And then three, the biggest impact is that if you educate yourself and you see what's working already, and you can do kind of a little proof of concept just to bring the reality closer to people, because when you share things that are new, the space of reality to where they are now is this big. When you show proof of concepts, they get this big and they just get a little bit closer and say, oh, I can touch it. That's really cool, right? So that's the best way that I would say to do it. That's the best way that I've been able to bring people along, is to close the distance between a future reality and the current like a reality by educating myself or sharing with people what they're doing or building those proof of concepts.
Vic, that was a fantastic answer. And you're right, that just definitely applies to more than just AI. So I think I'm going to put that little kernel of knowledge right in my back pocket, take that home with me.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah had a
Okay.
good question there. Can you see that, Vic, or you want me to read it?
If you don't mind to read it, I missed it.
Sure. Can you briefly walk us through how you built an AI agent to follow an HR process without coding?
Good, good. Okay. So I will talk through this high level to just give you a framework that you can use to apply to any tool. So first of all, the terminology AI agents, it's very broad. There are AI agents that do the entire process of what you do completely autonomously without a human involved. That is one level of AI agents, but in most cases within HR, that makes people very uncomfortable. Okay. So they typically want a human in the loop, right? So there are tools out there that you don't have to use coding. It's very drag and drop where you can build out a process map and tell it what to do within those process. So a few of the tools are make.com, N8N. In the module that I actually taught, it was we use Zapier, which is a tool that I think is easy for most non-technical people to like use. But let's use a process like, let's go back to our onboarding slide here. I'll be quick about this. Where was the onboarding slide number? Okay, great. So first thing first, map your process. All right, map your current process. Two, fix your process, right? Because when you map it out, you can start to see, okay, well, you know what? Like we do this thing, let's maybe not do that, like anymore. Let's do that differently. And then three, you can use a tool like Zapier to like essentially say, hey, I want you to connect to the HRIS. And when a new and then it's just if then. If a new employee is hired, then send new employee welcome email. If new employee is hired, then send new email to a manager, right? So it's for most people, if you can write a Excel function, this is easier than writing Excel functions, in my like opinion, because it's clicking point, right? So and then after that, it's about testing, and again, we talk about that like a bit there, but that is the big picture. You start with documenting your process, analyzing like your process, and then you have a new process, and then you take this new better process and you translate it to a tool that can help you to automate it. And there's some AI modules in those tools, but it's really if then, right? That's what you're doing. Okay. I see a question here. So one, hopefully that answers that question. I see another question here. For teams that have already completed an AI opportunity mapping process, what are the most effective next steps for implementing AI within their function? Great question. Again, 2025, year of try, 2026, year reply. So this is what I would do. Okay. You would most likely you have a very large AI opportunity map, as most places do. The thing that has to happen here is for you to understand what's, almost create a 2 by 2 matrix, right? And say, well, what's feasible versus what's impactful? I guess it's like this. I don't know. What's feasible versus what's impactful, right? You score each one from 1 to 4 on the impact it'll have. You score each one from 1 to 4 on the feasibility. Now, where most people have a hard time understanding is like what's feasible, but this is where you can go to AI and say, I'm a non-technical person. We're trying to understand the feasibility of these items. Can you score them from 0 to from 1 to 4, 4 being easy, 1 being not so easy, right? But you have to understand that impact. That's what AI shouldn't do for you, right? Going back to that. And then from there, you have a prioritized list. Two things from there that I've seen. One, you have somebody internal who is a AI champion who wants to take that on, right, to do that work, right? And that could be any one of you here. Two, you partner internally and say, hey, we can kind of be the product owner, but we really need a product maker, a product builder to help with us. Can we partner internally? Or three, you partner externally, right? Those are really the 3 ways you translate it. But the biggest thing is knowing what the opportunities are, prioritizing because there's a limited time, like there's limited resources, and then finding either internal champions, internal partners, or external partners to build. Okay, but great question there. All right, what else?
Vic, I've got another one for you.
Sure, yeah.
So, twisting this just a little.
Okay.
What's one mistake you think an organization has made when first implementing AI? What's something you think we should avoid?
How long have you got? Okay, a few things come to mind. And one is not even about technology, it's just about understanding where you are. there is always the excitement to implement new tools and, try it out and do things like that. And then when you're midway or at the end, somebody will invariably ask you, so what's the ROI on the work that we've done? And you're like, oh, yeah, we probably need to go back to try to rewrite history of how we used to do it because now it's completely different now. So the biggest mistake is that you don't take the time to understand the impact of the work that you're doing today. I mean, that's the biggest mistake because in corporate world, we are all telling a story. We are telling a transformation story, and you are not equipped to tell that transformation story with any technology. Again, this is not just for AI because AI is not, like AI is the new tool today, but this problem has always been there, right? But documenting, understanding, being open and vulnerable to say, well, this is how we used to do it, and it kind of sucked, but we're doing it better now, and this is how we're going to do it better later, right? And I think that itself is a mindset that when I work with teams, my own team, external teams, that great, we've built the plan, awesome, let's make sure we document what we're doing now, because when we get in the future we're not going to remember this because life is going to be so great, right? So that's what I will say, that most teams make a mistake in doing. So, excellent question.
Telling you, you're out here dropping knowledge. I love it. You should write a book.
It's coming.
Taylor, any more Q&A that we might see? Any other questions? I am going to do just a little spiel here, if that's okay, while we open it up for any other questions that anyone would like to throw in there, because we've got Vic for a few more minutes. But I just want to say, I took some notes, things that I am loving. One of the takeaways I'm getting is that year of try versus the year of apply. So thank you for that encouragement. I'm going to remember that this is the year to try, to apply everything I thought about last year. And I love the idea, and you said it, and I'm going to highlight it again because I want everybody to hear it. That AI might be a really great tool, but its superpower, the way that it gets all of its knowledge, is from me. So I am integral to this. I love it. And that AI opportunity map, I think, is a great takeaway. So glad you have it on the screen. If anybody didn't get a chance to screenshot it, that would be phenomenal. Real quickly, I want to point out, and I hate to be this person, I'm shift gears ever so slightly. If you would like to learn more about this is something we are offering at UNC Charlotte. And Taylor, if you want to pull up our slide again, I have a really nice QR code that will take you directly to our page if you'd like to see it. And because you came to our webinar today and you learned all this fantastic information, you're going to get an email in just a little bit that's going to give you a coupon code that might save you a few dollars. So it's always a good idea to walk away from these webinars and to have a little decompression time. But the most important thing is to set yourself one action item. And that's what I tell everybody when we have a webinar. Noodle on it and take away one thing that you want to do that's a little bit different. If it's that you want to think about a new tool you want to implement, if you want to watch for Vic's new book, or if you want to come to our website and see if there's something that we can offer you, AI or not, we do have a lot of really great options. Please look at this program. Please follow up with the email and let us know if there are any other questions you have. Taylor and I are here to answer any and all questions. So I'm going to throw our emails in here, but please don't hesitate to reach out to anyone on our team because we can all help you with that.